Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shika and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm really grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate your support. And in this one, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about making mistakes, learning from your mistakes, and why I feel like INFJs have a little bit of a hard time learning from their mistakes, and my theories on why I think that's the case for me. So when I was younger, I was a very self-aware INFJ, but also it's interesting because there's a dichotomy in INFJs in everything we do. We're very self-aware in certain ways and then completely unaware in other ways. And I think the miss comes, or like the disconnect comes, because we do not learn from our self-awareness questions. So basically, if you're sitting down as an INFJ and you learn something about yourself, like, oh wow, I had no idea, but I am like this, whatever it might be. I am feeling morally superior to this person, or I am great at finances, or I'm whatever it might be. You got this insight about yourself, and instead of being like, hey, I know this about myself, I'm going to use it in the rest of my life, you forget it after you learned it. So a few months later, you'll get the same insight in another way, because the universe is constantly trying to teach us. And until we learn the insight properly, we're never going to move forward. And so the universe teaches you that insight again from a different person and a different angle, so that you hopefully retain it this time. And so you're like, oh, right, I remember I learned this a few months ago or a few years ago about myself, and I forgot. And then you learn it again. And maybe you hold it in your consciousness a little bit longer, but then you forget again. And so I've noticed this about myself quite a bit, that I will get these valuable insights about myself, from my intuition, or from the outside world, which is also a way of getting intuitive feelings from the universe, right? And so I'm getting all these messages about myself, about the world in general, about connections that I'm making, about how the world works. And so I have all this information, this data, right? Unfortunately, we get the data and then we forget the data. So the data goes away, and then we have to relearn the data, and then we again forget the data. If you have a system in place, and perhaps by the time you get into your 30s, 40s, you'll realize this is a common trend in your life and you need to fix it. So like, I realized this and I was like, I need to fix this, otherwise I'm going to keep on forgetting and keep on learning the same thing over and over again. This is annoying. I don't want to be this person. I want to grow, and you can't grow if you have to learn the same thing over and over again. So, you build systems. Perhaps you write it down in your journal, or you write it down on a big poster somewhere if it's really important, so you never forget. Or you ask someone else to remind you if you're making that mistake. Someone who's a sensor, someone who's not an INFJ or an INTJ. Because I think both of them are pretty similar in this regard, I feel like. And so, you set up these systems, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. As you get older, though, I feel like you remember a little bit more. Your brain kind of settles into space and understands a little bit more. It becomes a little bit more mature. You're not as anxious anymore. And so anxiety also takes a lot away from us as an INFJ when we are younger. And so I've noticed as I get older, I am able to remember these insights about myself for longer, and perhaps even keep it. But there are still moments where I forget things that I've learned about myself and about this world, right? And so the problem with this is that, as I said, we're constantly taking one step forward and then taking 10 steps back, or 5 steps back, or 2 steps back, right? And so yeah, we're moving forward, but at a snail's pace. And I think that that's one of the reasons why INFJs have a hard time living in the world, because they feel like everyone else is learning about the world and moving forward so much faster than them. And this is the case for me as well. For the longest time, when I was in my teens and 20s, I was like, why does everyone seem like they have a grasp on life, whereas I feel I'm still stuttering and I'm still like a child trying to learn what life is all about? Of course, it was because I wasn't moving forward, I wasn't learning, I wasn't growing. I was self-aware, but I wasn't using it. There's lots of different reasons for it. I was anxious all the time. And I had a hard time understanding my energy levels and my introversion. I didn't use it as a weapon, rather than yet let it be used against me, things like that. So there were lots of reasons. But I do notice as I get older, I journal quite a lot more nowadays, and particularly I will, if I get an important insight, this is one of the things I do. If I have something really important I want to learn or know or remember about myself, I will write it down somewhere that I cannot forget. Usually what I'll do is I'll email it to myself. So I'll go right into my email app right away, and I'll just kind of send a quick thing like saying, hey, this is what you learned about yourself, kind of thing. It could be like in a sentence or a phrase, and I'll remember it, and I'll email it to myself, and I have it in my inbox. And for the next few days, whenever I open my email, I'll see it, right? Because I don't get that many emails in my personal inbox. And so I'll see it, and the more I see it, the more it gets ingrained in my head. And so it's kind of funny, because I'm not saying that this is even like true for only the big things. It's even the small things that we kind of forget about, that we have to remind ourselves of or have it written down somewhere so we don't forget it. It's like something really simple, like I love sardines. It's like one of my favorite foods in the world. Even when I was a child, when I was a teenager, one of my favorite foods from the time I was a child is rice and fish, fried fish or fish curry, and yogurt. Right? Like I used to eat this all the time. It's like a typical South Indian dish. I'm not from South India, but I love this dish, and I still love it. And I would eat it every single day if I could. As I got older, I didn't really know how to prepare fish that well, but I was like, all right, sardines is a great way to consume that fish that I want, right? And so I love canned sardines, and I use it quite a lot. Might not be the healthiest thing on this planet, but it is the tastiest for me. And so I'm always looking for new brands of sardines. There's this new thing called vintage sardines that I'm really looking forward to trying. I haven't tried it yet because they don't have it in India. When I go back to Canada, I'm looking forward to trying a few cans of it. And so, it's a small thing. It's a really small thing. It really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. But as an individual who has this like, obviously, since I was a child, I keep on forgetting that this is my like. I'll eat it for a while, and then I'll forget about it. And then a few months later, I'll be like, hey, I'm craving sardines. Why am I craving sardines? And then I'll suddenly remember, oh my God, I love sardines. I used to eat it all the time a few months ago. What happened? And then that repeats over and over again. The same thing happens with kimchi, which is one of my favorite foods as well. Yogurt, like kefir. I mean, like, there's a lot of different things that I like, and I forget that I like it, and then I come back to it, and then I like it for a bit, and I use it for a bit, and then I forget. It's this cycle that keeps on repeating. Maybe it's a good thing in a way that, I'm able to experience these things anew again. I'm like, wow, I haven't tasted it in so long, so it kind of tastes new and different and great. But also in some ways it's bad, because I'm like rediscovering myself every single time, when I could really just be like, I know myself, this is what I like, kind of thing, right? Maybe that's why we're confusing as well to other people around us, because we ourselves are confused by us. Yeah, we don't understand ourselves, so in a lot of cases we're constantly learning about ourselves, and constantly perhaps even transmuting ourselves, transforming ourselves, because we're like, yeah, I love sardines, but I like this sardine better than that sardine, or I like that better than this, or I used to like that but I don't like it anymore. So people perhaps will keep the same likes throughout their life, but for an INFJ, we're constantly rediscovering ourselves, constantly understanding what is our like in this moment in time. What do I actually like? So in I guess in that way it is a positive, but I do find that I wish I could keep some of my likes consistent, or even just remember them, so I can constantly indulge in them and constantly enjoy them. I feel like I kind of miss out on a few months or a few years of it, and then I come back to it and I'm like, wow, why did I not enjoy this through this whole time? Why did I give up on this like or item or whatever it might be, hobby? Similar thing happens to me with exercise as well. So I'm constantly walking. Walking is one of my best exercises, so I don't forget walking, because it's literally how I get everywhere. But I love spinning, which is the cycle studio thing, when you're cycling based on a beat. And I love spin. I've loved it since I was in my 20s. I just love going to these classes. They make me feel alive. One of the things that make me feel alive. And, I will do it for a while, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And then I'll forget about it for a few years, a couple of years, and I'll come back to it. It happened to me just recently. I did it in Bali, and then for a couple of years I forgot about it, and I'm in here in Mumbai. I have a studio near me, and I tried it again, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Why did I stop doing it? It's because I forgot about it. And so, now as I said, now I'm starting to write everything that I like, everything that I want, everything that I want in my life, that I desire. I just write it down. All of it is in the things I love list. I email it to myself. I have it written down in places. I'm constantly kind of browsing through it to see, right, I forgot about this. Even in a couple of weeks, I'll forget about things. Out of sight, out of mind, man. So, so I wanted to do this video because it's a very simple thing, and you think, it doesn't really matter, but it actually really does in our psyche, in our development, in our growth, in our loving of ourselves, in our living our best life. And so I really feel like if you are suffering from this, maybe you're not, and I'd love to hear from you if you are or not. But if you are, I'd love to know what your systems are in order to ensure this doesn't happen. If you don't have a system, will you adopt a system? If you never forget, I'd love to know how you manage to do that. Share all your stories with me. I love hearing from all of you. I really appreciate all of you. And I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.